Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast weekly reading. I'm Charlie. We are currently reading The Path of the Yoga Sutras by Nicolai Bachman. This week we are on chapter 25, Dvesa, clinging to past suffering. Clinging to a past that doesn't let me choose. Sarah McLaughlin from I Will Remember You. Like raga, Dvesa is an emotional trigger based on clinging to a past experience. When we experience pain or discomfort, it is natural to want to avoid that experience again. Dvesa contains in it the fear of experiencing something again. If an aversion changes our behavior in a way that is not helpful to us, then Dvesa is present. Being deliberately cautious because of a prior hurtful event can serve to protect us and thus be helpful. When we suffer from resistance, resentment, vengefulness, or anger because of a painful event, then our own consciousness becomes affected in a negative way. Avoiding and hiding the pain of a bad experience represses the emotions, burying them deeper in our consciousness and bodily tissues. Resistance binds and contracts our energy, stifling openness and change. If we resent another person for saying unkind or untruthful statements about us, Dvesa has reared its ugly head. For example, if you heard that a coworker was bad-mouthing you instead of resenting them, approaching him and kindly ask why he said what he did. Always be aware that miscommunication can create misunderstanding and hurtful thoughts. Allowing any relationship to deteriorate because of festering animosity only brings you down to the level you believe your coworker has stooped to. The desire to get back at someone is another way of Dvesa can linger. An eye for an eye only hurts, while turn the other cheek promotes compassion and empathy. For example, a long time ago in high school, your girlfriend stole your boyfriend, creating within you a strong sense of distrust, betrayal, and vengefulness. Over the years, you have always wanted to do the same to her. If you succeed, the result will be only more hurtfulness. If you try but do not succeed, the negative energy of revenge will still affect your state of mind. Either way, Dvesa is present. Anger towards someone because of something they did or said affects us more than them. For example, expecting a longtime pessimist to become optimistic like we are is unreasonable and bound to result in disappointment. Allowing people to be who they are and where they are is true tolerance. If it is obvious that being around a person is detrimental to our personal growth, then we can minimize our exposure to them until we are strong enough to influence them in a positive way without sacrificing our progress. A painful trauma often strengthens Dvesa. The traumatic experience creates a deep imprint in memory and an automatic aversion to some or all aspects of the event. This imprint, samskara, will likely affect how you act in the future, especially when a new situation arises that contains an aspect of the previous trauma. Our heart mind has been programmed to avoid it at all costs, anything that might recreate the suffering you went through during the trauma. For example, as a young child, you ran off from your parents' view and were soon surrounded by 4 barking dogs. Your life seemed threatened and a deep fear of dogs was instilled in you. Since then, even very friendly dogs scare you. Over time, you can move from extreme caution around dogs to an awareness of when it's okay or not okay to pet a dog. Allowing the trauma to inform better, safer habits and then fade as the new habits strengthen will permit the past event to take its proper place in the present. Yoga provides techniques to reprogram the heart mind and root out emotional afflictions such as Dvesa. The 3 practices of Kriya Yoga are the most effective way to weaken and eventually eliminate all kleshas. We can weaken Dvesa by first becoming fully aware, svadvaya, of which events trigger our aversion. This self-inquiry can include tracing the negative reaction back, prasavara, to the events that began this aversion. Talking with longtime friends or with a therapist can assist this process. Then think of a different, positive, and constructive action to replace the unconscious and detrimental reaction whenever the situation arises again. Implementing this plan, tapas, to weaken Dvesa is the most difficult part. The next time your aversion begins to arise, step back and do your best to consciously act according to your plan. With faith in its eventual success, Ishvara Pranadhana, it may take several experiences over time to gradually convert the reactive behavior into a helpful and positive pattern. Sometimes our aversion takes the form of discomfort around certain people, such as immediate family members. Since we are culturally obligated to see family members every so often, we have ample opportunities to work through this particular kind of Dvesa. Every time an aversion erupts is an opportunity to reduce its control over your actions. Future suffering can be avoided if we make a sincere and persistent effort to gain insight into who we really are and how we can consciously act from our divine inner nature. Instead of unconsciously reacting based on old harmful patterns of behavior. Thoughts. A painful experience or trauma is recorded deep in the subconscious memory. If I notice when I feel unfriendly or antagonistic, I can act consciously with kindness instead of reacting unconsciously with spite. I will carefully reflect on why I hold an aversion towards someone or something. Exercises. Are there any foods you disliked as a child and now avoid? Can you think of a way to prepare these foods to be appealing to your palate? Choose a sense, sight, sound, taste, smell, or touch, and think an aversion you have related to that sense. Reflect on how this aversion came to be. Is it good for you or not? If not, what can you do to weaken or eliminate it? Think of family members who you dislike, yet have to see once in a while. Make a plan to act toward them in such a way as to reduce their negative effect on you. Instead of avoiding them, seek them out and try out your plan. Then experience how your interaction feels compared to previous ones. Keep tweaking your plan until it begins to work. Thank you for joining us for this week's weekly reading. You can join the discussion and find out all the details on our website at www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com. Again, thank you for joining us. Namaste.